While that shiny new home in Calgary's latest developments might look picture perfect beneath the fresh paint and the pristine streets of dirt and construction, lurks a financial trap that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars in lost equity into the future. Here's what builders, salespeople do not want you to know. Over the past 4 years, Calgary has had what some would call a boom. We've seen our benchmark prices go from $438,000 in 2021 up to $588,000 in 2025. That's nearly $150,000 in pure equity if you owned a property. Any type of property. Now, if you owned a detached home, that jumps up to $250,000 of equity growth that you may have seen. Where there is growth, greed is often found too. Now, there were many investors over the last number of years who bought sight unseen, tied up multiple properties in a single visit. In this article from 2023, I found, it said there were teams of them from Toronto flying out, taking buses to projects here in Calgary, and often buying entire floors of condo buildings. They could buy 3 or 4 units for the price of one in Toronto. To say the least, now, this is causing problems in our market, and this is one of the reasons you should not buy a brand new home here in Calgary over the next couple months or even for the next year or so. Matter of fact, there's lots of reasons to not buy, and there's only one reason to buy. So let's jump into those. The first reason you don't want to buy is because of the future tariff costs. Now, tariffs may not be in place when you're watching this video. They may be in place when you're watching this video because they kind of come and they kind of go. But there could be increased costs in the future that ultimately are going to get passed down to you as the buyer. The builder's not going to take the hit with their increased costs. They're going to give that to you. Now, here's a few things that we said in our latest market update videos. Now, the last thing we know about is new homes versus resale homes. In our last month's market video, we talked about how we could potentially see 10 to 15% increases in cost of new homes because of construction materials. Now, if these tariffs are long lasting, we could see that go up, which in turn could push up the resale market values too. What could happen for new builds this coming year? We could potentially see maybe 10, maybe 15% of costs of building homes increase. So builders, they're not just like so polite. They're gonna be like, you know what? I got you on this one. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to pass that on to you, meaning the prices of new homes are going to rise. Now, the second reason you don't want to possibly buy a new build this year is because the builder is your competition. So you're going to go and buy a brand new home, whether it's built already or you're going to build it with the builder. And ultimately, if you're not planning on staying in that home for quite a while and living in it, when it comes time to sell it, the builder that built your home and all the other builders, they are now your competition. And that's not a good thing because they've got much deeper pockets, probably, than you do. And if prices are going up or they're going down, which is the down part is the negative part, then they can sit a lot longer on their properties and wait for buyers than you might be able to. So you never want to have the builder as your competitor because now you've got two competitors. If you go to sell right away, you've got your neighbors who may have also built and now are trying to sell, and they probably need to drop their prices if things aren't selling. And then you've got the builder who has deep pockets. Now there's more competition, and that's what we're going to show you in some of these neighborhoods. And for some of these neighborhoods, the development might be going for a really, really long time. Like if you bought in phase 1, there could be 12, 10, 8, 15 phases of a neighborhood over the next number of years. I recall there were some people who bought a property brand new and they were in phase 1. Well, 5 years later, 4 years later, they're selling their property and they still are competing against the builders. And that's just not a great place to be. Trust me. We've watched too many sellers kind of just not do well at the end of the day when their competitions are builders. Now, the last reason you do not want to do this is basically the whole point of this whole video. It's all around so much speculative investment that happened in Calgary because our values were going up. There are so many properties on the market that are vacant, that not even just new builds, but just generally are vacant because someone bought them, rented it, kicked the renter out, now they're selling it, or they built something and they just want to get out of it and they never were planning on moving into it anyways. And so there's a lot of this that has kind of skewed our market over the next little bit, and it just kind of, I don't know, makes me a little bit annoyed that it happened because we didn't see this in our market before, but now we do. And what do we do with it? I don't know, but it's out there and it's part of the game. Now there's one reason, and I think there's one reason only. If you are wanting to build a new house and you're planning on staying in it for really a long time, then I truly believe that you should probably really consider buying a new build. But only if you're planning on living there for, usually I would say 5 to 7 years, but I might even say longer. If you're planning on living in that home for at least 7 years, if not longer, then yeah, I think buying a new build over this next year could be a fantastic opportunity. And I'm gonna share some numbers of some neighborhoods, kind of the stats that you're seeing out there, because I mean, you could find some really motivated sellers who need to get out of their vacant home that's only costing them more money every single month because they never planned on living in it in the first place. So I've got 2 groupings of neighborhoods that we're gonna go through. The first one is the do not buy here grouping, and the next one is the maybe you should consider buying here grouping of neighborhoods. So let's start with the do not buy here grouping of neighborhoods, because a lot of these are new build areas and you're gonna see where the stats kind of speak for themselves. So when you take this collective group of these neighborhoods, the time period to sell and the months of inventory, it's got some crazy stats out there. So the months of inventory for the 30-day number is 4.2 months and the 90-day number is 4.5 months. So what that tells me is that these neighborhoods are kind of staying in a buyer's market. And these aren't just like townhomes or apartments. These are like detached properties. So you are having detached homes when generally across the city, we're sitting in a balanced or a seller's market. This grouping of neighborhoods are sitting in a buyer's market. And the collective days on market to how long it takes to sell the properties is about 67 days. So what is the first one? Well, Belvedere. Belvedere is located in the east part of Calgary beyond Stony Trail. It sits north of 17th Ave and east of 68th Street. It's a newer community and it has some great access to downtown, major roads, that kind of thing. But when we look at the 90-day number, it is sitting at a 6-month of inventory. When we look at the 30-day number, it's actually sitting at 3.2. So it's actually trending a little bit better than what a lot of these are going to trend in. And we're sitting at about $515,000 for the kind of average or median prices in that neighborhood. Now, the second on our list is Rangeview. This is also in the southeast part of Calgary, but it's actually further south near the South Health campus. It has a 5-month of inventory for the 90-day number and a 3.9 month of inventory for the 30-day number. So again, it too, like the first one, is trending to a better market, but it's still easily in that buyer's market. Now, their average median prices are around $605,000 in there. Glacier Ridge. Now, this is one of the neighborhoods where I have heard rumors, and I don't know if it's true or not, where there was a lot of investors that bought in Glacier Ridge. Now, it is located in Calgary's far northwest corner, and it's one of the city's newer developments. It's located close to Stony Trail, west of Simons Valley Road. Now, it's the very edge of the city, but it has great views, great access to around the city, getting onto Stony and whatnot. It's a good neighborhood. However, it's trending the opposite way as the first two. 3.8 months is the 90-day number, and 4.5 months is the 30-day number. So it's moving further into a buyer's market. So you most likely will start seeing prices softening there when you see that type of trend. And the median average numbers there is about $707,000. Now, the next new neighborhood is Homestead. Now, this is in the northeast quadrant, another new community beyond Stony Trail. Like Glacier Ridge, it really represents that expanding of the urban boundary of Calgary to the north. It has a 5.5 month inventory for the 90-day number and a 4.3 for the 30. So it's trending better, but it's easily still in a buyer's market. I mean, you got to remember, our city overall is sitting at 2 or less of months of inventory. So these are really slow areas. And the median average price in there is about $781,000. Okay, now I got 2 more places for you that you should not buy in. Now, Lewisburg is another one of these new neighborhoods, and its months of inventory are really, really high. Lewisburg is a new community in the southeast Calgary, located south of Stony Trail, east of 52nd Street. It's part of that developing southeastern edge of the city, Mahogany, all of that that's down there, in an area that's seeing significant new construction. All of this is happening down in that southeast quadrant. Now, their months of inventory, oh wow. 21 months of inventory, almost 2 years of inventory sitting there over the last 90 days and 14 months over the last 30 days. So it's definitely getting better, but it's still like a year plus of inventory sitting on that market in Lewisburg. And you got to remember, this is just the resale data. This has nothing to do with what builders have on their books, right? This is just the resale data in the MLS. So in Lewisburg, that average median price is about $629,000. Now, this last neighborhood is a really good neighborhood. And I've talked about it in a way that I really like this neighborhood, but the data shows that this neighborhood is trending really, really poorly. You know what? Let's get out of here and let me go show you exactly what's happening there. So I'm here in Alpine Park. I took a drive down south because I wanted to show you in person, not just tell you about it, but show you how many homes are basically on the market and stuff's not selling. So I've got the drone up, we're flying around, but on the screen, you're gonna see kind of pins that are showing price ranges and the homes that are currently available. So here's what's happened in Alpine Park specifically. Alpine Park has been pumped pretty hard. I think there's been a lot of investors that have purchased in here and a lot of homeowners too. And it's a great place to live. Like, it's going to be a beautiful neighborhood. I'm not doubting that. Just over the next year and what's happened in our market, it's kind of a little bit different because the 90-day months of inventory for Alpine Park, and again, this is only stuff that I have access to that's on the MLS. Builder inventory, no idea. So it could be worse than this actually. But the 90-day numbers was about 6.7 months of inventory over the last 90 days. In the last 30 days, the market here has really slowed down and it's sitting at about 20 months of inventory. So basically, if everything is selling at the current pace of what things are selling for here in Alpine Park, it could take 2 years to sell everything that is currently for sale if nothing else came on the market. So again, the only reason I would say to buy in these areas of the do not buy list is if you're planning on living in them for quite a while. Don't just think that you can move there and move out in the next couple years, because there's just a lot of, I don't want to say negative equity, but there's a lot of speculative type purchasing that has happened in those neighborhoods that's gonna make it kind of a mess over the next probably 3 years or more. And so if you're planning on living there 5, 7 or more, you're gonna see that it's gonna be great and you're gonna love it. But don't buy there if you don't think you're gonna live there for a very long time. Well, where should you buy? Well, I got about 8 or so places that are neighborhoods that you should consider purchasing that are trending in the opposite way. So you know that when you buy in them, you're gonna have a better investment for the future. Because you don't always wanna think of your home as an investment, but you also wanna position yourself and your family financial future in a way that's gonna be good. Where you wanna purchase is in stable, mature, full-grown trees type neighborhoods. Now, these established areas have typically worked through most of the major infrastructure changes. They don't have waiting for new schools. They don't have all this newness, but they have stability. New developments are more susceptible to huge price swings when we're in the middle of market shifts. So established areas, they tend to hold their value better during downturns due to the location and its advantages. And lastly, builders often charge premiums for desirable lots, but these premiums may not hold the value in the resale. Like, that's kind of equivalent to what the builder charged them. So established neighborhoods have already solidified which lots are truly premium, and that price is kind of built into things. And so you don't have as big of swings and changes when you go to the market from when you bought. So ultimately, buying something that's more established is going to kind of change things, because if you remember some of the months of inventory overall, the 30 and 90-day numbers for that first grouping was kind of in the 4 months of inventory, right? Well, here in this grouping, the 90-day number is 2.3 months and the 30-day is 1.7. So you might have a little bit of competition buying into these neighborhoods, but you're gonna have a better investment for you and your family in the future. So what are these areas? Well, the first one is Altadore. Now, Altadore is an established inner city neighborhood in Southwest Calgary, and it's located just south of the Marda Loop shopping district between 14th Street and Crowchild Trail. So the 90-day number in Altadore is 2.63 months of inventory. And the 30-day, well, it's getting better, and it's at 2 months of inventory. So you might have competition. It's one of those areas that is really, really established, and there's a ton of gentrification that's happened over the years. And well, the lot values are the lot values. Now, it is a pricier area when you're looking at everything else compared, but it is sitting at $1.135 million. But don't worry, all of these places are not crazy high, over $1 million. Like here I'm saying, don't go buy these 600,000 ones, but go buy the 1.2 million. That's not what I'm saying. So the next one is North Glenmore Park, and it's sitting right beside Altadore, and it's just south of Altadore. It kind of is close to the Glenmore Reservoir. It's great to pathways, that kind of thing. But its months of inventory is 3.6 months over the last 90 days, and it's sitting at 1.7 months over the last 30 days. And it does have a similar price point to Altadore because it's literally right beside there. But at the end of the day, these two areas, if you can afford it, are going to hold their value much, much better than what a new property will. Now, the next neighborhood you should consider buying in is one called Garrison Green. Now, it's a newer community in the Southwest Calgary, but it's actually developed on the former Canadian Forces base. And it's very close to Altadore and North Glenmore Park. It's just across Crowchild Trail. But you're gonna find kind of a different style of home in this area, more like the suburb type style of properties and detached homes. Now, its months of inventory are stupid low. They're sitting at 0.33 months for the last 90 days and 0.2 months for the last 30 days. So things are rapidly moving in Garrison Green, and you can find some detached properties, semi-detached properties kind of in that 800 to $1 million range, and there's definitely properties over $1 million as well in there. Now, the fourth neighborhood that you should consider is Tuxedo Park. Now, this is a real established inner city neighborhood in the north central part of Calgary. And now it's located just north of 16th Ave and it's east of Center Street, making it super accessible to downtown, to get anywhere in the city. Very, very mature neighborhood. Its 90-day months of inventory is 3.17 months, and its 30-day is 2.7 months. Now, the median price is kind of similar to the new areas, and it's sitting closer to $800,000, about $790,000. So you're gonna find a real mix of original character homes with some infill developments, lots of tree-lined streets, but this is a great neighborhood that is gonna hold its value so much better than some of the new neighborhoods will over the coming years. Okay, so I got 4 more neighborhoods, and actually one extra one I'm going to throw at the end that you should not purchase inner city, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. But this next one is called Richmond. Now, Richmond is in that southwest part of Calgary, real inner city, close to Altadore, Crowchild Trail, really, really great access to everything, Marda Loop, downtown, you name it, Mount Royal University, all that kind of stuff. They got newer infills, they got small apartments, but their months of inventory is 3.78 months for the last 90 days and 3.22 for the last 30 days. So it's in a balanced market in Richmond, but your price point is great. You're sitting at about $788,000 in that neighborhood, which is very comparable to the new neighborhoods. And these next three, they're all in that 700,000 range. So again, we're not just talking go spend 1.2 or whatever. There's some great options in here. Now, another one you want to consider is called Renfrew. Now, Renfrew is just north of Bridgeland. Now, Bridgeland is a great neighborhood, but Renfrew is what we're talking about today. In Renfrew, you're going to find real established character homes. You're going to find newer infills and a real mix of different types of housing. Its 90-day number was 2.38. Its 30-day is 1.4. So it is moving tighter into that seller's market, which again, when you get into those numbers, you're going to have more competition when you're buying. However, it's going to hold its value so much better. And that value is about $762,000 to get into there. Now, the second to the last is Mount Pleasant. It is a well-established neighborhood located west of Center Street and north of 16th Ave. It's one of Calgary's older neighborhoods, featuring a lot of mature trees, great character properties, and it's really close to SAIT and the North Hill Shopping Center. So its numbers, 2.28 for 90 days, 1.27 for 30 days, and it's going to be about $752,000 to get into here. Now, the last neighborhood you want to consider purchasing is in Killarney or Glengarry. And this is kind of, I don't know if it's like a triad or quadad, or how would you say like triad? That's 3, quad 4. I don't know. It kind of completes the little area right around Altadore, which is the Killarney Glengarry. This is a great neighborhood. There are a ton of infills in this neighborhood. So if you're looking for semi-detached properties, this really is one of the areas you want to consider. Now, its months of inventory is 2.3 for 90 days and 1.8 for 30 days. And you're sitting at about $721,000 to get into there. So these are all very established neighborhoods that you should consider purchasing in. However, not all inner city neighborhoods are made equal. The one I want to warn you about is Banff Trail. Banff Trail has had so many small infill properties and projects going on in it. It's making it a little bit different compared to other inner city neighborhoods. And I would just want you to be aware of that and don't think just because it's inner city that it's going to be great, because a lot of these small infill projects, they're not being sold back onto the market, they're getting turned into rentals. So you're going to see in the future, Banff Trail and other neighborhoods like it, a lot of congestion in the future. You're going to see a lot of rentals coming on the market in those areas, and you don't see a lot of homeowners in the areas. The biggest thing for me there is the congestion. It's gonna get really, really tight in those neighborhoods, like along 20th, a bunch of the corner lots. Like there's some pretty big developments going in there. And so just be aware when you're looking inner city of what is happening in the neighborhood so you don't buy in the wrong inner city neighborhood. Now, regardless of where you're planning on buying, if you want to follow my advice or not, you need to know how to prepare to buy a home. So go watch this video. It teaches you so many great tips, great strategies on how to buy your next property here in Calgary. We'll see you over there.